Kash Patel storms into a Supreme Court session with a hidden recording that could ruin Amy Coney Barrett's reputation forever. Patel, the newly appointed FBI director, had earned a reputation for his unyielding pursuit of justice. This time, he held evidence that could topple one of the most respected figures in the judiciary. The recording in his possession wasn't just a lead, it was proof of corruption at the highest level. Amy Coney Barrett, a sitting Supreme Court justice, stood accused, and Patel was determined to expose her. The recording had arrived at Patel's office days earlier, slipped under the door in a plain envelope with no return address. It captured Barrett in a private conversation with a man Patel later identified as Richard Ellison, a notorious political operative known for backroom deals. In the audio, Barrett spoke about a recent Supreme Court ruling on election integrity, a case that had sparked nationwide controversy. Her words were unmistakable. She mentioned ensuring the right side wins and doing what's necessary to secure the outcome. Patel listened to the recording repeatedly, each playback confirming his worst suspicions. Barrett had manipulated the court's decision to favor a specific political party, betraying her oath to uphold impartial justice. The evidence was clear, and the implications were devastating. Public trust in the courts had already hit an all-time low, and this could be the final blow. Patel couldn't let it slide. His role as FBI director demanded action, and he knew the American people deserved the truth. He decided to confront Barrett publicly, ensuring transparency in a matter this grave. He requested an emergency audience with the Supreme Court, citing national security concerns. The justices, though hesitant, granted his request. Patel addressed the court with unwavering resolve, announcing that he had evidence of misconduct by one of their own. He named Amy Coney Barrett, his voice carrying the weight of the accusation. Barrett sat among her fellow justices, her face a mask of composure. Patel played the recording, letting her voice echo through the room. The phrases, ensuring the right side wins and doing what's necessary, hung in the air like a guilty verdict. Patel turned to Barrett, demanding an explanation. He accused her of undermining the court's integrity, of letting political bias taint her rulings, and of being the reason people no longer trusted the judiciary. His words were direct, leaving no room for doubt. Barrett responded with a calm that seemed almost rehearsed. She didn't deny the recording, but claimed it was taken out of context. She identified the man as Richard Ellison and explained that he had approached her under the guise of offering legal insights. According to Barrett, Ellison had pressured her to sway the election integrity case, but she had resisted. Her words about the right side and doing what's necessary, she insisted, referred to her commitment to the Constitution, not a political agenda. She accused Ellison of manipulating the recording to frame her, suggesting that Patel had been misled by a smear campaign. Patel wasn't convinced. Barrett's explanation sounded plausible, but he had seen too many cover-ups in his career to take her at her word. He pressed her, asking why she hadn't reported Ellison's approach to the authorities. Barrett admitted she hadn't wanted to drag the court into a scandal, believing she could handle the situation herself. Her response only deepened Patel's suspicions. A justice of her caliber should have known better, and her failure to act raised red flags. Determined to uncover the truth, Patel ordered his FBI team to investigate further. They traced Ellison's movements, analyzed his communications, and dug into Barrett's financial records. What they found was a trail of evidence that confirmed Patel's worst fears. Ellison wasn't just a rogue operative. He had been working with Barrett all along. Bank records revealed a series of payments from Ellison to an offshore account linked to Barrett, totaling over $1 million. The payments coincided with key dates in the election integrity case, suggesting a clear quid pro quo. Emails between Barrett and Ellison, uncovered through a warrant, further exposed their collusion. In one message, Barrett wrote, "I'll deliver the ruling, but the price has to match the risk." Ellison replied, "Funds are secured. You'll get your share once the decision is final." The evidence was airtight. Patel returned to the Supreme Court with the new findings, this time accompanied by a team of federal agents. He presented the bank records, emails, and a detailed timeline of Barrett's interactions with Ellison. The other justices listened in stunned silence as Patel laid out the case. Barrett's composure finally cracked. She tried to deflect, claiming the emails were fabricated and the payments were unrelated to her work. But the evidence was too overwhelming. and her excuses fell flat. Patel pointed out that the offshore account was directly tied to her through a trust fund she had set up years earlier. There was no denying it. Barrett was guilty. The other justices moved quickly. They voted unanimously to suspend Barrett from her duties pending a formal investigation. Patel coordinated with the Department of Justice to file charges against her for bribery, obstruction of justice, and abuse of power. Barrett was arrested on the spot, a historic moment in the annals of the Supreme Court. The news spread like wildfire, dominating headlines and sparking a national debate about the state of the judiciary. Public trust in the courts, already fragile, took another hit, but many saw Patel's actions as a necessary step toward accountability. Barrett's trial began months later, drawing unprecedented attention. Prosecutors presented the same evidence Patel had uncovered, the recording, the bank records, the emails, building an ironclad case against her. Barrett's defense team argued that she had been coerced by Ellison, painting her as a victim of his manipulation. But the jury wasn't swayed. The emails showed Barrett as an active participant, not a reluctant one, and her failure to report Ellison's initial approach undermined her credibility. After a week of deliberation, the jury delivered its verdict, guilty on all counts. Barrett was sentenced to 10 years in prison, a stunning fall for a woman who had once been hailed as a paragon of justice. Patel watched the trial's conclusion with a heavy heart. He had hoped Barrett's explanation might hold some truth, that the evidence might point to a misunderstanding, but the deeper he dug, the clearer her guilt became. He addressed the nation shortly after the verdict, speaking candidly about the importance of accountability. He acknowledged the damage Barrett's actions had done to the judiciary, but emphasized that rooting out corruption was the only way to rebuild trust. His words were somber but resolute, a call for the nation to demand integrity from its leaders. The Supreme Court moved to fill Barrett's vacant seat, appointing a new justice with a reputation for impartiality. The process was contentious, as every decision involving the court now faced heightened scrutiny, but Patel's actions had set a precedent. No one was above the law, not even a Supreme Court justice. He continued his work as FBI director, more determined than ever to protect the nation's institutions. The Barrett case became a defining moment in his tenure, a reminder of the power of truth and the cost of betrayal. The nation grappled with the fallout for years to come. Barrett's conviction sent a message that corruption would not be tolerated, but it also deepened the public cynicism about the courts. Patel understood the paradox of his actions. He had exposed a painful truth to save the judiciary, yet that truth had widened the rift between the people and their institutions. He remained steadfast, believing that transparency was the only path forward. The evidence he had uncovered was undeniable, and Barrett's guilt was now a matter of record. The nation would heal, he hoped, but it would take time, trust, and a renewed commitment to justice at every level.